serious pro-Palestine users of Reddit. How do you think Israel should have responded to October 7th? Honestly, the whole framing of this debate should be rejected. The debate is premised on the supposition that the critic of Israeli owes an account of an alternative strategy that is much more surgical. Said critic usually takes the bait and the debate drags on. In reality, the critic of Israel doesn't need to offer a solution to the human shield dilemma. That's the responsibility of Israel. Why? Because Israel created the conditions under which this conflict is occurring. For the root of the problem is the occupation and the illegal settlements. It supposedly has some of the best intelligence and military in the world. Bombing of residential buildings, schools, and hospitals makes them seem like their military intelligence is severely lacking. There is incredibly far less civilian casualties if they would have raided the tunnels that their intelligence community said was under there. That makes it obvious they were setting out to kill as many civilians as possible by just straight bombing of buildings. Israel is in a no-win situation. They can't defend their citizens against random Hamas attacks, and they can't go after Hamas without killing innocent Palestinian civilians. Hamas has used the last 20 years of international aid building a network of tunnels and storage facilities under the civilian infrastructure and arming themselves for conflict. Well, on October 7th, they started the conflict. I wonder what other countries would do in a similar situation. They should have responded exactly as you'd respond if an Israeli terrorist group was going nuts within Israel, or any mature developed Western nation would respond to a terrorist event on their soil. You wouldn't drop 45 dumb bombs on everything around them. Brits didn't bomb the Catholics in Northern Ireland to bits because of the IRA. By no means were either side since, but fuck 30,000 dead people. 12,000 kids. Unforgivable in my eyes. The better question would have been how the world should have responded. The bloodshed could have been avoided if the hostages were returned and Hamas was ousted. Israel is doing the only thing they can do without folding to the massacre on 10/7. It's a terrible situation that has set any chance of peace back by decades. Likud needs to go. Hamas needs to go. Hostages need to be returned, and only then will a lasting peace be possible. Plenty of people have answered, but I hate when the Palestinian side says Hamas is a legitimate resistance movement. Hamas is not like ANC or the IRA. They want Islamic law implemented in the region. They are a religious fundamentalist movement. If they had secular political goals like IRA with Sinn Féin or the ANC, then I would give them some credit. I would be terrified to give them any power if I was a minority. I'm pro-Palestine and pro-Israel. I'm against useless killing, terror, etc. I'm against extremists of any kind, especially if they think they are the superior human race. This never ends well. My grandparents have told me enough about it. War will not end this conflict, and people seem to forget that it never helped in the Middle East. It only made a bad situation even worse. Schools, hospitals, and other infrastructure should have been secured by IDF troops rather than bombed simply because Hamas was occupying them. Hearts and minds should have been in effect at all times, with possibly brigade troops providing relief supplies to refugees, instead of weighing if that one bag of rice was going to feed a potential Hamas militant. The military campaign to an extent at the beginning was reasonable. Like at the beginning they were expelling the invaders and went on to bomb some of Hamas. But the longer it has gone on, it's no longer like they're defending themselves. Now they're killing more innocent people than died on October 7th, and it's not even close. As an American whose aunt lives in Palestine, just don't fucking look like you're prioritizing killing maximum numbers of civilians. That's it. Facilitate evacuations for non-combatants. Actually release the hostages and let them survive the travel back. Igno. The bare fucking minimum. If we're going back to what should have been done, it's worth going far enough back, far enough to Israel's abuses of Palestine that lead to the creation of Hamas. What's done is done. The only question worth asking is what should they do now? The demands are clear and fairly reasonable. End the illegal occupation of Palestinian territory, exchange Palestinian prisoners with hostages, and move towards the establishment of a Palestinian state. This is what should have already happened long before October 7, and October 7th didn't change that. Execute elections in Gaza, Palestine. Install a puppet gov. Fund it. Make them look like the heroes who pushed out Israel from the settlements Israel can live without, and take out Hamas from the inside. Basically the CIA special with a few extra steps. Israel should respond by stop stealing homes from Palestinians. Maybe people would be less likely to fight back if you don't literally colonize their homes. By not committing genocide, stop illegally occupying Palestine. Stop treating Palestinians as subhuman, normal people things. Serious, how do you think Palestinians should have responded to decades of oppression, apartheid and injustice? Notice how not a single pro-Hamas person in this thread can answer the question in a straightforward way. Stop killing people then claiming they're all being used as human shields.